Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of, yes, you got it, Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11, and of course we're playing as, yes, Japan. So let's continue this and look over again at what's going on in Yugoslavia. Germany and Italy are pounding the Yugoslavs and the Greeks, and Italy. Wow, it looks like Italy actually sent reinforcements down here. Wow. Okay, we are now a famous military power, like we had the sort of event notification last time, but this is the actual effect is organization regain rate plus 2%. Small fuel tanks have advanced, which frees up a little bit of leadership, which we're going to put to both of these here to build. Now, of course, the 0 is this, but this also includes what do you call it? You know, carrier torpedo bombers and other things too. So, sort of the thing, construction new zone, fine. But last episode, which I made just before this episode, of course, I was ranting and raving about how bad the AI is, but yeah. Have they just done the, what is it, TRP DLC that was being worked on and done one major, because I think there's improvement that they could have made. Don't know that they could have fixed, quote unquote, as always, fix the AI, fix this. I don't know if they could quite do that, but there are things that I'm sure they could have improved some of this stuff. If they'd done that for this before going on to Hearts of Iron 4. Oh, we want Party Rally. That's why we need so many more. I was wondering why we needed more civilian ICs, but this should greatly reduce civilian ICs now. Give it a day. The needs. Yep, back down to 15. Something I know we could be lowering that down, but I'm not really that worried about it. And there's going to be events and other things, and lowering it slowly is fine. Something like this, when it's just a few percent, it does affect things, but I'm more worried about, say, when we'll be at war and taking losses to our transports, which, you know, the more losses to your convoys, the greater the descent is. So I'm more worried about gaining and gaining and gaining there, and, you know, fighting to keep it down. Supply levels, okay, well, Germany enforces conquer on Yugoslavia, very nice, and decryption machine has advanced. Okay, we won't be touching those for quite some time. And yeah, let's do navigational radar. Okay, so we're getting some supplies coming in. And they can come down here too. Well, they'll come down here. At least for the moment. We also got the Thai Air Force, which is in bad shape right now because they haven't had supplies there, but here is in better shape. Yep, they're upgrading. Very good. I didn't know if they would or not to standard Japanese, whether they would be listed as a foreign units in our service and not upgrade. Okay. We will give them supplies for money. Yes. Estonia, yes. Okay. The USA have decided unlimited national emergency. I have tonight issued a proclamation that an unlimited national emergency exists and requires strengthening of our defense to the extreme limit of our national power and authority. Smart move, USA. Smart move, smart move. Submarine AA advance. Okay. Yeah, we'll let this continue. And by doing so, they make it much more. I think the supplies are coming through here and going up into here that we're having to supply our troops and our puppets. Okay, twin engine bomb bay. Oh, we got a bunch of armored cars. We'll do that. That increases soft attack, marsh attack. Okay, hills. Yeah, nice. So we missed this one province here, but we do at least have a. So I miscounted somehow. And see, I'm not. Oh, let's see. That is, I think their capital here. Now, Turkey. Yes. Oh, pause. Yeah. Saying it's stupid for them to stack their forces here. I'm not saying that at all, but since they've done that here, obviously, well, temporarily, let's move down to here. No, not to here. With those forces, so to at least give a, their level 1 pillbox, give them a speed bump if they come in. And yeah, if they come in hard and fast and heavy, they'll just plunge through my militia, Japanese militia troops. I'm sure of it. I don't think the Soviets are going to declare war on us. It's going to be us declaring war on them, and I'm going to try to get, at least in the region, significant ground forces before doing so. That's the plan, at least. Okay, nav tactics have advanced. Very good. Naval, air, aviation tactics have advanced. Yeah, we'll let that continue because that helps CAG and port strike and naval strike organizational penalties. Yeah, we'll do that. But okay, we have more. We can. Oh no, we're going to leave that. Okay, and again, shifting back and forth and whatnot. And this we're going to put up just because I don't like to see the red up top, so we will keep it slightly more than needed on consumer goods to, yeah, slowly bring that down, but. Okay, so they enforced conquer on Greece, or on Yugoslavia. Now they're pushing into Greece. And yes, you can see the Italians are pushing hard even in German territories. Germany decided to give forces to the Italians. Oh, to have that level of cooperation. My God. Okay. Here, okay, yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of naval stuff coming up, so we'll keep that going. How is Italy doing? Fairly well out here. Once we get those police divisions, we'll be able to better deal with Soviet Union annexes Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Well, that cancels our trade agreements with at least a few of those that we had. No winter war yet. Obviously, this isn't winter, but I think that it is now past and we're not going to see it. Because it should have happened, you know, already, obviously, but yeah, and we see Germany's now up here getting ready to push into Allied Finland. Excellent. What did our defense research yield? Minor breakthrough. Fine. Probably, seeing how things are going, probably we're going to see Germany take Finland before they go to war with the Soviet Union, so that would put this as German territory, which again maybe helps Germany out a lot. Okay, radios advanced. Very nice. I was thinking that if this was staying allies and Germany or Soviet Union could move a lot of its forces down to the front with Germany and mess with Germany badly. But if Germany's up here, that may be very good for Germany. Okay, radio, and it may mean a major thrust out instead of a minor thing. It could be a huge northern thrust in here very rapidly. Radios. We're getting there. Okay. There we go, that's good. That's what I want, there we go. Want those to deal with all of this red. Okay. And we're going to see if we can sell them even more. Very good, Soviets. That should hopefully put us well in the positive for money. I think we had... Guess it got moved. Okay, reconnaissance aircraft. Very nice. Yeah, right there. Stop that. Yeah, greater range is nice. No, we're still, I know we were waiting to buy metal from the Soviets, but sold them more supplies, but I do want to also buy some more metal from them. And how is the war? Yeah, we can see here that Italy is rushing into its own forces, which is fine, but it's still sort of supporting up here. Okay, mass events. Japan did have some of those mass events. Found a photo about some 1942 Destroy America big mass rally party stuff. I'm collecting all that stuff for future use, maybe even in a thumbnail, but I have other plans someday. Which of course my real job and also YouTube is taking up too much of my time, and I don't know what to do about it. Come on, Italy, do air supply into these guys and then they can march to the port. You probably have some transports. Nav pilot, which we'll probably let continue. Yeah. We'll get back to Japanese fighter pilots too soon. No, you're too far away. Metal, no. Okay, pack concluded. So Vichy is now a member of the Allies. Now I do believe, don't know, but I do believe even AI Germany here, which if we notice they're immediately starting to rush forces, is going to be able to crush Vichy on France. And once Greece is done, Italy and Germany probably can crush Vichy in North Africa. I don't know what's going to happen if they don't, because if this is Allied control, you won't have the scripted event to, you know, the torch landings. So that is an interesting development. Okay, submarine crew training, which allows better damage control and whatnot. So let's do, damage control. Start research. So that is an interesting development. Short term, it isn't going to be too much of a problem, I don't think. Like I say, I don't think we're going to see a second front in Europe or something. Oh good, we got some of those police divisions done. I like these pocket battleships. They're not going to replace, we are still even building 2 battleships here. But we're not going to build a lot. We're not going to do a battleship-centric navy continuing forward. And I don't have any plans to build the big super battleships. So, I'm thinking. Do I start building some island garrisons? I know we already have these there may not be as good as island garrison, or at least these part aren't maybe as good as island garrison there. But we're also looking at, well, getting, I don't know if that's worth much to even garrison, but, you know, when we take places like Midway and Wake and Guam down here, and maybe even Hawaii and places like that, we're going to need to stick garrisons on them, and we're going to want garrisons on them right away. So what I think we'll do here is let's do artillery and anti-air, because you see we have not one heart attack so far and 0 penetration. And if we do this, we got 3 and 6. Now let's see, that's 3 ICs for 97 days. Now if we do this, that's 6 for also 97 days, and we're jumping up considerably in anti-tank and heart attack. 20 anti-air, right? Yeah. Versus 25. So actually, it's better with regular. I think we're going to go with that, though that heavy AA is of interest. Think just regular artillery. I mean, you know, how much ICs do we put into this? We could put a lot and do really well and have really good fortified islands, but my plan is to do, and oh well, this is not just for islands, of course, but you know, securing particular ports as well. You know, these kind of places as well, not just an island. So let's start production on, we'll grab, say, I don't know, 6, 7. People have asked, why don't I just hit the number? Because as I'm doing this, I'm not even sure how many I want to do. So there we go. That will be useful. Whether put like we were on the islands or some of those things. Yeah. Okay. What else? We're getting these done fast, which was what it was meant to do, to keep the practicals going for some of those vessels. It's similar. That's why we're doing these. 2 more full carriers, 2 more light carriers, pocket battleships. Those are just looking way too tempting. So let's do 2 more of those. They should be pretty fast, 33 kilometers an hour. So that means they'll be able to escort fast carrier groups, be a lot of firepower for them when they get into naval battles. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. A compromise between more proper battleships and looking at a carrier-centric navy. U.S. did find that, you know, battleships were useful. They're old battleships that were sunk in Pearl Harbor. The ones that were the most damaged, but that were recovered. Obviously, the Arizona is still there, and I forget which now. Another one broke in two, and it was more of a navigational hazard within continuing to use the port. So they actually, fairly early on, went in there and scrapped it. Cut it apart and took it out. They left the Arizona initially just because it wasn't worth moving and take too much work to it was not good to have it there, but it just took too much trouble to move it, to cut it apart. And then of course later they kept it as a memorial to all those lost at Pearl Harbor, not just those on the Arizona. A couple of the battleships were returned to duty very fast. And the ones that weren't were actually taken back, refloated and taken back to the U.S. And in their repair process, they were much upgraded, and better anti-aircraft armament on them, more and better. I think better radar and whatever. So they actually turned out to being a more useful ship than the ones that they got going initially. And initially, it took them a while to get them going, but they were old and slow, and so that they never really wanted to, the Navy never really wanted to use them alongside the carriers, because the carriers were fast and doing the main striking tactics. So the old battleships, even the somewhat upgraded ones, were mostly used for shore bombardment and escort of, slow troop convoys. Because you got big troop convoys moving towards some of these islands and moving, wherever, in the Pacific. You don't want to have either light, relatively light forces, or even a surface fleet of a significant type, or air attacks, because again, like they did at various times, upgrade. Some of them were being even upgraded. Some of the stuff was being upgraded in 45. Just as like we're going ahead with this. Japan may be ready to surrender any day, but until Japan surrenders, we're going ahead with our naval upgrade kind of path and our naval expansion path. Until it's over, we're full steam ahead. So they were, as things going on, like the Independence is a CVL, one of the early light carriers. It gets a torpedo hit, so moderately late in the war, and it gets taken back to the U.S. to be repaired, and it gets some upgrades. But by the time it's done, the war's over, or it's not even done and the war's over. I forget which. So they were doing all that. So the old battleships were found to be useful for, and some were used out in the Atlantic and Mediterranean for shore bombardment and anti-aircraft. Well, also it's when you had the newer, faster battleships that the Americans made, they were used, and since they did have lots of anti-aircraft, including a lot of long-range anti-aircraft to shoot out, maybe not terribly effectively, but shoot out at longer ranges, really helped escort the carriers. Disappointed a lot of Navy battle fleet officers wanting to get into, action with the enemy surface fleet, but didn't happen. So that's sort of where they're relegated. So I think these ships will be all right for that. I am looking at another couple of carriers before the war starts, get them proper carriers, as well as maybe another couple of light carriers. But to a point, now I don't, I think we'll be able to use land-based aircraft effectively, which I was not either, because, and I was advised by Django, I should have really massively upped the numbers. I mean, like 10 times the numbers of aircraft operating in some of the areas, and this is why I really come to hate some of the elements of Hearts of Iron 4. And so when, sea/air zone, big area out here, okay, and so you put up fighters, or you put up a naval attack craft, and well, okay, in any one area you got, say, 10% of your aircraft operating, fine, but what they don't seem to take into account is once you spot the enemy's fleet, they don't vector in or all of the stuff. It's just, oh, well, you've got 10% coverage. So 10% of your aircraft that are operating out of your airbase here, 10% of them are here. That's effing stupid, because the Japanese very much would, spot, some of the, because they did several carrier raids, at least one I know particularly of, but some other stuff may or may not count as a carrier raid. But they came in and did strikes against some of these bases in here, and the Japanese very much knew that the carriers were here, so they were flying in, aircraft from way over here to get to air bases to then hunt for, because the raids were happening, and they knew they were carrier aircraft type, and they knew that there was no Allied air bases that could get there, so they knew they were carriers in no way. So they were, doing all the reconnaissance aircraft to look for them, but vectoring in various types of bombers and torpedo bombers and whatnot from various land bases to strike at them once they found. Now, at least the one carrier raid that I'm thinking of in my mind, they get out before the carriers get struck at themselves. But, it's a very mobile strategy. And yeah, sure, but you're just... I could play slower and do some more of that with Hearts of Iron 4, but I really don't think I can do that, where once I find that there's a fleet here, in this province that's invading this island here, I can... Every airbase that reaches it, I can start sending all of their attack craft and their fighter aircraft to this province. And I can start sending aircraft flying from Tokyo or Singapore to here if I think this invasion's going on long enough. That's sort of my plan is we have some forts, this kind of stuff. We have some decent, and I may upgrade, may add another whole, like, tropical island division or something to a place like this. And so that, it's being slammed with 4 or 6, good U.S. divisions, and it's just taking a while. It's going to take a while for these guys to lose, because they'll be dug in and they'll have some heavy artillery, even though they're just garrison troops, that I'm hoping to sink maybe the whole damn fleet. And the troops that hadn't yet landed get sunk, and they all die. And oops. That's what I'm hoping for. That's my strategy here. Is now, of course, if I got carrier fleets and service fleets, to send them in, but also overwhelm them with air attacks. But so even if I have, you just have 2 carriers against their 6 carriers, let's say. Well, does it matter? Because if I brought in the carrier aircraft from, say, ships way out here, just flew the aircraft, detached them, and fly them and land them here. The Japanese did do that a bunch of times too. It doesn't matter, because the main attack is the carrier aircraft, not the carriers themselves. So yes, if I build just carrier aircraft, and I will be building some more just carrier aircraft beyond that, even if I get Hawaii, they're not going to be able to effectively attack the U.S. So I need carriers to, get the carriers over here to then attack them. So carriers matter, and it does matter light and heavy carriers, or lighter and full-size carriers. It does matter in this game. CVEs, as I've talked about, are just a... don't think we can even produce any of those yet. Because these are... Carriers are the full-size light carriers. CVEs we will sort of get, but they're just convoy escort. They're sort of super submarine killers, sort of like seaplane tenders, but a little different. So I don't know why. Maybe I don't know why they went that route with the CVEs, but that's the route they went with the CVEs. So if you, and I say this because I've had a few people post that they can't, asking questions that they can't assign carrier air groups to them, and nope, they're just super sub killers, and they're very good sub killers, so they're worth building. But just whether you attach them to a an invasion flotilla, they're useful, and they have some air. I think they're also good air defense too. I think, sort of representing in a naval battle that, you know, they got immediate air controller and a few other things. But so they're worth building, but they're not, and they're much cheaper to build. I think I have to look at the ICs just to see, and of course it varies by the different techs you've done. So I am planning some more carriers, and they take a long time, but these also take, you know, May 41 here already. But we want to have these type of things ready to go, and again, to do a decent job of delaying that, then if we can vector ships and aircraft in and win. So my point is of dealing with the Americans is to hopefully not engage a, you know, doom stack of all the American carriers with all of their aircraft on them and a huge amounts of battleships and everything else, just some big doom stack that would doom my attack on them. That's why they call them doom stack, and that may happen. Hit the mic, but if I can get them piecemeal, you know, concentrate my force at the point of contact, overwhelm them with a lot of different air power, and your standard bombers and your standard, you know, casts, that is not nearly as effective as naval air units, and very ineffective at finding the enemy, you know, getting engaged. But once you engage them, they are quite useful in additive attacks on surface ships of various types. So definitely use them, but don't rely upon them as, like, you know, you put them out to, well, search this area for, you know, do naval strikes out here to the sort of, in essence, reconnaissance into the greater area. They ain't going to find them. You can have the naval striking along, but have the regular naval stuff too. And if you have it in its general vector area, they will, once, you know, they identify an enemy, they will then join the fight in their next sortie. So they do help, most assuredly. Now, of course, you have to see, would you rather have them supporting, you know, in advance on land? Well, yeah, but if we can sink their carriers, if we can sink their fleets, we win the Pacific War. We may not be able to, you know, push into America. We may or may not be able to, and I am going to, if I can, try to push, you know, somewhat in. I'm not thinking whether I could or not. I'm not planning on going to Washington, D.C. If by the time I get to here, you know, somewhere the West Coast America, and control that, if Germany's being defeated, or if Germany's just all sitting at home, well, that'll be the end of the series. But if Germany's landed and coming in here, I'm going to keep sort of holding out, because if somehow I don't know if I can mod things. I'd really love to do a man in a high castle scenario based off of this. Not just someone's creation, but off of this game. But it takes Germany taking out mainland USA and occupying it along with me. So if that could be done, I would do that. But I don't know. That's just sort of a holdout, maybe, hopefully, kind of thing. Well, actually, let's see if we can save this now at this point. Good. And we're going to end the episode here. I know it wasn't terribly long, but I sort of wanted to end it now so that we can get the first of the month after I reload and do that and go on. It's better for events to happen that way. So that's sort of my timing up here, is why to end it, not continue it more. So I want to thank you all for liking the videos. Thank you for watching, of course. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And I really love hearing your comments, so please post something, anything. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.